Did you learn to read and write before you learn to speak? To understand spoken language and to speak in your native language? No, of course not. Nobody did that ever. We all learned to first understand. We listened to adults, start imitating what they were saying, and eventually we end up speaking the language or languages fluently when we were babies. That's how we learned our native language. And eventually, we went to school and we learned to read and write in the language. Some of us better than others, but we all learned to read and write somewhat. But we wouldn't have been able to read and write in the language if we didn't know the meaning of the words. Yeah, those characters that we learned mean nothing if you don't know the meaning of the words, of what's been said there. So you first need to know the meaning. And my point is that people who want to learn Japanese, and this can be applied to Arabic, Chinese, any kind of writing system, any kind of language that has a completely different writing system from the Roman alphabet, the one we use for English and most European languages. Russian and Greek and those languages are an exception because the writing system's relatively similar. You just have to learn which letter is the equivalent of which letter in our alphabet, and you can learn the writing system in an afternoon, really. That's different. But for a really different and difficult writing system, if you try to learn it, you're going to, before being able to understand spoken language, you're going to spend hundreds of hours trying to learn characters without any real gains. It's really going to slow you down. You're adding an extra layer of difficulty when you don't have to. You can simply learn all the vocabulary phonetically first. And once you can, then do a lot of listening, obviously, and watching videos and stuff, and then speaking exercises, listening and repeating, and so on. And once you can watch shows and understand them pretty well, and you can have a conversation in the language, then maybe, if it's really interesting, then you learn to read the language and write it, because it's cool to learn the characters and write your name and write stuff in Japanese or whatever language you're learning, but it's not helping your comprehension. And you're going to talk, someone's going to say that, yeah, you can put the subtitles in kanji when you watch. Yeah, but you can put subtitles in English or no subtitles at all. As long as you, like, the difference, the thing that makes the real difference, the game changer, is vocabulary. You know the vocabulary or you don't. If you are watching a show and you know the vocabulary, most of the vocabulary, and you know the right pronunciation or the approximate pronunciation, you will understand quite a lot. If you know the kanji for the words, you know the characters, but you don't really know the words the way they sound, you not understand anything. Yeah? So focus on learning the words phonetically. You can do it. We've got the internet for that. Learn them phonetically. Learn to understand them when you hear them. So you learn the grammar of the language as well in context, and you learn to speak by doing listening and repeating drills and all that. And once you understand the language well, if it's really interesting and you really want to do it because it's cool and it does look cool, then you learn the kanji. Otherwise, you just shooting yourself in the foot. You're slowing yourself down immensely. And you're just going to get frustrated. And even if you learn hundreds of characters, it's going to be very difficult to read fast enough in the language. Even Cyrillic is pretty hard compared to read fast. I mean, if you want to read a whole book, it's quite frustrating. And it's very similar to the Roman alphabet and relatively easy. So something like kanji or Arabic alphabet, don't waste your time. Focus on understanding, because what you want to do is understand shows, right? You want to watch anime or films or whatever, and you want to understand it and enjoy it, right? So focus on learning stuff phonetically so that you're able to understand when they speak, and eventually you'll be able to speak as well by doing other exercises. But focus on listening comprehension phonetically.